What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another pre-market watch list. Got quite a few stocks we're going to take a look at today. We're not going to go too ranty today. We're going to pretty much just look at stocks today. We're going to keep it nice and calm and relaxed. Nobody's freaking out. Nobody's panicking. I might be freaking out a little bit. Alrighty, so here we go. We're going to get started. So if you miss it, it sucks to suck sometimes. It really does. So all good here. Alrighty, so first one here on the watch list. Let's start with, we'll start with Tesla. Why not? Tesla's been ripping, it's been roaring, and everyone is just losing their absolute shit over it. So, anyways, Tesla broke out this day. It's pretty much straight. Let's just look at a three-year chart. Three-year chart, Tesla's into a new high. It's gotten over 400. Many of you guys know Tesla's been a very controversial stock between bulls and between bears, yada, 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 yada. Anyways, so the stock has made it into an all-time high. Just because we've made it into an all-time high does not mean buy the stock and invest in the stock. That's actually probably one of the worst go-to strategies you can have, just buying a stock because it's an all-time high. It's terrible. So trading it because it's made into all-time highs, not a bad idea. So that's what I'm saying is, with the way it's been moving, it's still worth watching for the long bias move. But again, the more and more it trends up, the less easy the longs will tend to be, because you're not breaking out. It's not a day after a breakout. We've already broke out. We already continued up. Now it's like, will it just keep continuing? We're more hopeful that it keeps having really easy days. So again, just remember, the more it goes up, the harder those days will most likely be to trade. So it's still worth watching, just because it's been ripping and roaring and everyone's got FOMO and everyone's freaking out and everybody believes they're going to miss it. So a lot of people have been buying this up and it's kind of melting up right now. But nonetheless, still worth watching. Pretty much straightforward go-to trade here would be trading over the pre-market highs as always, right? Seeing if it holds some type of pre-market support, previous day support. So you're pretty much just looking, can it hold previous day support? Is it going to break over pre-market high? Does it hold the pre-market support? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Take the long play. Okay, so Tesla, watch it. All right, next one on the list is Netflix. Netflix, again, it's kind of similar to Tesla. It broke out, ran. I didn't think it was going to run that strong yesterday. Boy, was I wrong. Anyways, so it's got a nice looking curl here. There is a little slight resistance at about 336. Again, same scenario. Watch Netflix long. Everyone's been buying it up. It's broken out. It's continuing. A lot of people have FOMO on this right now, so we'll see if this is going to continue to have similar days as it's been having. Note that the longer something trends up for, the moves out of the gate become more risky, in a sense that it might just push up 1-2 candles and then roll over. Push up 1-2 candle, roll over. Because again, the more something goes up, the less likely it is to continue. Thus, the momentum isn't there as much as it was on previous days. Thus, if something starts to spike out of the gate and the momentum isn't as high as it has previously been, the momentum dies out quicker. The stocks roll over faster. Okay, so watching this up to the 336 marks and even maybe a long for over 336. So pretty much just keep an eye on the 336 level right now on Netflix. Alrighty. Next one on the list, which is personally my favorite so far on the day, which is AMD. Okay, been following AMD for a week, right? Basically following AMD since it had its really big jump day here. Jump over all-time highs. We kind of held just about the all-time high here. Bounce up. Hold, dip, bounce up, curl. Okay, so now we might in fact be getting close to breaking out for a move over the high of 43.40. It's not the greatest looking pennant pattern, because we do have a scenario where we're getting kind of mixed signals, shall we say. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the first dip here, the first dip's a U. Right? And then it's not like we pull back strong. We kind of roll a little bit. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I'm probably going to confuse you guys. Let's just stop talking about that. Not even worth it right now. But anyways, over from yesterday till today, we do have a small cup and handle. So you have the move up. So you'd have, I hate when that happens. Let's change that. Okay, so you have small move up. And then you have your, excuse me. What am I thinking right now? Let me redo that. I would be drawing the wrong pattern. So excuse me, yes, you have move down, up, pull, creating handle. So if that can break out of here, good chance we test this previous high and then break out today. Very good chance that that can happen. Will it? We'll see. We'll follow it. We'll play it if it does. But nonetheless, that's what we're watching for today on AMD is for a breakout into new highs here. Daily chart still pretty strong. We have increased buying from yesterday. Yesterday's buying volume on the daily chart outbeats the previous red day. That's a good sign. Let's check the weekly chart to see what that's looking like. Right, weekly chart, look at the selling volume on that week, very light. Since then, all steady buying volume. So yeah, and look, you can already see AMD starting to pop up. That could very well be because I'm making this stream right now and some of you guys are starting to buy it up. If that's the case, please stop because you might actually screw it up if you do that. Just wait till market open. Please don't fuck things up. So we'll see. It's trending very nicely. All right, next one on the list is ROKU. So ROKU really, just because of the day that it had yesterday, it really changed the momentum on the stock. Before the big squeeze that happened midday yesterday, yeah, like this big short squeeze. Well, that was just a picture perfect, beautiful. A lot of times you're gonna miss these because ROKU pops up, does this shitty trading right here, and then you kind of forget about it, and then it channels into a perfect squeeze. But there was also news that broke at the same time as that squeeze. So really what happened as news came out, then it started breaking, then it squeezed, and so it's just kind of like a perfect storm for a nice move. So anyways, we get this really big squeeze yesterday on ROKU. That causes the price action of ROKU to go through certain levels that start to shift the momentum and the mindset of traders that are currently trading the stock. So if you look at ROKU over the past couple days, what you're going to come to find is that this level right here, you see this really big down candle right there, and how that's kind of, so yeah, right here, red dotted line, big down candle. That is resistance. Let's go over. Yesterday, breaks straight through resistance, so now we're shifting the momentum and the game plan and the mentality for the stock. Because before it was, as long as it's below that, let's stay either neutral or more of a bearish kind of sentiment, right? Until we start to shift that momentum over, which the squeeze yesterday with the news breakout did that. Now we're back over that level, mindset, sentiment shifting more to the bull side for the day. Okay, did I have another one on there? ROKU. Oh, LK. So LK is the last one, which you guys seen me make a video about last night. We'll see. Again, the pre-market movement's a little funky. Let me look at the one. Yeah, so the pre-market so far doesn't have a lot of volume. It's not like the volume pre-market's giving us the confident feeling in the analysis that this will break out today. But again, anything can happen, and I'm still very optimistic about the setup that it's currently in because this is a big cup and handle pattern at the end of the day. I mean, that's all that really is just a big-ass cup and handle. All right, just kind of looking for that to break out. So you got a big cup and handle. So I mean, that's the thing, guys, is last night you seen me explain this. You have, for one, you have a bullish pennant, okay? Then two, you have an inverse head and shoulders formation within the bullish pennant. Three, over just the past 5 days, you have a bullish cup and handle formation. So you have three bullish setup scenarios in one. And that a lot of times is going to be how it is, right? It's not just, so when you go on the internet, right, and you go to Google or you go to this one dude's YouTube channel, right, there's only so much that we can usually teach all at once to get someone to understand it without blowing their mind apart, right, and just tearing it to shreds, right? We can't be like, hey, look at this, like we can't look at a first-time trader and go, hey, look at this bullish pennant, and then look at the inverse head and shoulders, and then look at the cup and handle, and then look at the way the daily candle closed, and look at the 100 EMA, and then look at how it holds this level. By the time you get to that point, they're just basically going to shoot themselves in the head and just quit. Because they're like, holy shit, this is so complicated. I'm never going to learn it. I'm just going to go back to I don't know, my whatever. I don't know, whatever you do, whatever, knitting or baking cookies or whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. You're going to go do something else, because if I come at you with that amount of pressure so hard, you're going to be like, you're just not going to do it, right? So you can't come at someone and be like, hey, the bullish pennant, you gotta break it down to the point where, like, hey, this is a bullish pennant, and when you see this sort of formation, a lot of times stocks go up. So like, okay, now what they're gonna do is they're gonna go search around the internet for bullish pennants, and they're gonna find some, and they're gonna trade some, and they're gonna win. They're gonna find some, they're gonna trade some, and they're gonna lose, and go, oh, well, why doesn't this work? It's a bullish pennant. Well, again, there's more to a bullish pennant than a bullish pennant. There could be an inverse head and shoulders pattern in there. There could be a cup and handle pattern in there. Within the bullish pennant, you could be getting an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is bearish. So you could be getting a bearish pattern within a longer term developing bullish pattern, which in the short term makes it more bearish than it is. See what I'm saying? So there's a lot of scenarios that can play out, and to overload a trader with that amount of information right away, it's not going to help them by any means. So it is definitely a process of, win, lose, learn, and eventually you'll learn. Anyways, so here we are. Yeah, good. So far, it's a good setup. So we'll follow this long for basically a breakout into new highs. If it doesn't happen today, who cares? Doesn't really matter. We'll continue watching it for, Monday morning and Tuesday or whatnot. Okay. So those are all the stocks. Those are all the stocks that I'm watching today. Let me go up, scroll up, look at what you guys are sharing. Do a quick run through here on AMRN. AMRN had a bounce day back yesterday. There's really no setup here to give you. I mean, it's possible it could have a little push today, but it's not really set up in a day to give you a monster day. It can, though. I mean, funky things happen every once in a while, but really your long play here is going to have to be at least over 2153. So a move over 2153, hold over 2153 at least. Even arguably 2181, move over, hold over 2181 before considering a long play. Let's check the daily chart. Daily chart says that was a solid bounce. Oh, it's a 50 moving average. Duh. Yeah. You're not in a situation to get a breakout. Most likely, the bounce has already happened. So a lot of most of the bounce that would be easily predictable has already happened, right? So I'm not a big fan of that setup right now. Yeah, there's a lot of, okay, so I'll try and answer a couple of these as quick as I can. We're not going to cover every single one of them. HUYA is a Chinese stock, so it's an ADR stock, so it's really a Chinese company that's listed on the American Exchange. Well, it's not, I wouldn't even really call it the American Exchange. That just makes you sound like a jackass. It's really just pretty much any any public exchange within the United States. So NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, etc. It's a Chinese company trading on our exchanges is all it is. It actually looks pretty decent for a long play here. Oh, wait, let me look at this again. Yeah, from like a standpoint, like you might be looking at like a 1 day long, 2 day long sort of bounce play. That's really about it. There might have been a bullish divergence that took place a couple days ago. Let's see. Yeah, you should watch that long today. It may be long tomorrow, but if it doesn't happen today or tomorrow, I'd start getting tomorrow will be Saturday, so there's no way it could happen tomorrow. So good job, Connor. You definitely hit her on the head and the nail with that one, Bubba. Yeah, so what I would do is probably watch this for today, watch it Monday, maybe Tuesday, because we do have, and I got to look at it a little bit more, but we do have a bullish divergence right here. Boom. Boom. So we have low goes into new low, higher momentum to the upside, bounces. A lot of times in a downtrend like you're seeing, when you get a bullish divergence like that, it can usually lead to like a two. And that's what I was saying, like watch it today, watch it Monday, watch it Tuesday, because a lot of times in a downtrend, if you get that bullish divergence and you catch it, you're usually looking at like maybe a 2-3 day upside move, and then the stock will try to resume back into the downtrend. So like the safe, predictable play on a scenario like that is usually just a shorter term, like 1, 2, maybe 3 day bounce kind of move play. Other than that, don't be too much more optimistic than that. Let's see if it's even at support or something. I don't even know or what. And it's also kind of getting into support too, so that should give you a little bit of extra confidence to maybe believe in that divergence as well. If the divergence was happening in like no man's land, then I'd be like, maybe not. You know, there's definitely something else you could find better. X for the dip buy. I did see X down today. I considered the same thing myself for a dip buy. Then again, X is just such a slow stock. And so you guys remember I made that video regarding X for a breakout, right? And we got it, but it couldn't sustain and it couldn't hold, right? And it ended up dropping back down. So this is a scenario where we kind of watch this nice W pennant like that go to break out. And it just never gave us never gave us a truly big running breakout, unfortunately. Let's see from this side. Yeah. Anyways, no, I really wouldn't dip buy here. You know, I myself would be dip buying down at like 1170 to 1150, if anything. That's where I would personally like to take that. Why NQ is trending higher, and so if any of you guys are coming across something like this, what is NQ? Is that, it's been a long, what is that? Oh, okay. So you're looking at the NASDAQ. Well, for one, you're already doing, I hope this doesn't sound like a dick thing to say, but it might come off that way, but you're doing this wrong. For who will Winding Robert, right? So you're kind of doing this wrong. It probably won't hurt you too much, but I want to make sure you're doing this correct. What you're doing right now is you're looking at the NASDAQ 100 futures. So you're looking at the NASDAQ 100 and then comparing it to the SPY, which is the Spider ETF of all. Well, that sounds kind of stupid to say it that way, but it's the Spider ETF of the Fortune 500 companies. So you're looking at two different things. You're trying to match up the NASDAQ 100 index E-mini futures with the S&P 500 index. They're two completely separate indexes, where the NASDAQ measures 100 stocks and the SPY measures 500 stocks. So if you were looking at NQ, you essentially would want to be comparing it to NDX, which is the NASDAQ 100 index, not the SPY. And then for one or a two, the SPY is an ETF. You'd actually want to be looking at SPX, which is the true S&P 500 index, if you were trying to actually look at the index and not an ETF. But the question you're really asking is, why would /ES, which is, excuse me, did I do that? There we go. So the real question you're asking is, why are the S&P 500 futures up currently while the S&P 500 ETF being down today? That's the real question you're asking. And if I could type correctly and my computer would work, that'd be great. So you're asking the question of, why is the SPY futures up, but the actual ETF down? Why is there a discrepancy there? And it's because the S&P 500 ETF pays dividends and has a dividend date. So today was a day in which the dividends were paid out, which decreases the actual value of that asset because money is going out, right? Like if today Connor owed everybody on the stream $1, then I would lose $355 today. I'd be $355 poorer, which means my net worth would go down $355, as did happen here with the SPY. For however much money this ETF had to pay out today for all the investors that are invested in the S&P 500 ETF, Spider ETF, that receive money through dividend payout, that all got subtracted from the asset's value today. Whereas the futures don't pay out dividends. Those are the true value of the actual, market, so to speak. So since those aren't paying out dividends, there is no decrease in price other than that from which it is being traded upon through supply and demand. Okay. And there's that for you. So Jarrett Mainza, your response, because tech-heavy stocks in the NQ are going higher while less tech-heavy stocks are dropping. That would be an inaccurate statement because it's just used in the wrong context. Not that you're wrong about what you're saying. That does apply in some scenarios and situations, but for now, that would not be the case. Why does nobody talk about Micron? It's not that nobody talks about Micron, and it might feel that way even coming across my channel. It's because I look at stocks that have the most potential for me today or maybe in this week, and if something doesn't scream potential, I don't care. That's just it for me. So again, if you look at Micron hasn't really been offering much potential for the past couple months. Might have been a few good days, but hasn't really been offering super great potential in terms of easily identifiable, really good trades, at least in my opinion. So that would be why you might see it getting less attention than other stocks. Okay, hold on. I won't be able to go through all the stocks. Yes, Nike did have earnings today. Here's a word of advice. Follow Nike if you want. If you do, you're just supporting child slave labor. Okay, I'm kidding. That's not the case. We all know that's not the case. And we all know that Nike would never do such a thing. Never. Couldn't possibly. No. But anyways, take this as a word of advice. If you're going to follow Nike, it usually trades like absolute dog shit on earnings, okay? So if you want to sit there and follow it, it's possible you make some money, possible it has a good move, but over like the last 4, 5, 6 times I've ever watched on earnings, it ends up looking like a fish out of water, just flopping around. It looks terrible. So I'm not going to trade it, and I won't watch it. Choose to do what you like. CGC is on standby. It's on neutral right now until at least gets up to, I think, at least about 21.50, or at least pretty much last week's high, until it gets back there and starts testing those highs for kind of a breakout. Standby. I do have a long-term portfolio. I can find. Might take a while. I'll post my long-term portfolio next week in the chat, or maybe I'll just do a video over everything I hold long-term. It would be a lot. I think I have. Probably have like. Probably. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. At least 35 different holdings long-term. I think I own Aflac, I own Clorox, I own gold, I own silver, I own treasury bonds, I own short-term high-yield bonds, I own Johnson & Johnson, I think I own Cisco. Can't remember what else. I mean, and that's the thing, is that's when it comes to long-term, is like you just don't even look at it. You just kind of forget what's in there until you go back in and look and make some changes, and then you end up forgetting again. And that's kind of the beauty of long-term investing. You just kind of let it sit there and collect dividends and make money or lose money. Either one works. All right. That's the other thing, guys. My Robinhood portfolio these days is up to, let's see where you're at, little girl. My Robinhood portfolio, I have $4,300 in there. And that basically, like 3 months ago, I had like $200 in there, maybe $150, because I don't really use Robinhood for trading, so I don't really have a purpose to use it at this point. But then I was like, well, why not just like toss some money in and put it all into gold and silver, because I know gold and silver is going to break out over the next couple of years. So I'm like, whatever. Let's just play long term and just dollar cost average it. So yeah, I got gold. I have SLV right now in Robinhood. What time is it? 8:59. Yeah, I got SLV right now in Robinhood with an average price of $15.91. And then I have an average price of GDX Vectors Gold Miner ETF average price of $27.14. So I've really just been buying the dips of SLV and pretty much just been buying the dips of silver and gold over the past 2 months, 3 months. And just accumulating in this consolidation, looking for a breakout. And also I do believe that, I could even still be early to the party in terms of buying it long term for the next couple of years. I think the prices are probably, I don't want to say probably, but there's still a chance that from where I've been accumulating shares, we go below that, before we go up a lot. Because if you look back at like 08, and again, that's always the thing is like you can't always compare history and go, this is what's going to happen again, because history repeats itself, but it repeats itself differently. Okay, it repeats itself differently because what happens, especially when it comes to the market, there's a couple things. And I'm going to make this spiel really quick, and then we're going to head out. There's a couple things that happen when it comes to the market, right? A lot of the market psychology based, which many of you guys already know. And then when you take but when you take time periods like the Great Depression, and then you have the dot-com bubble, and then you have the 08 crash, right? And then you have the projected 2020 market downturn, right? Each one of them happens differently, and they all bounce back a little bit differently, but all the same. They're always the same, but they're always different. So when we look back in 08 and Connor's investing in gold and silver, and he goes, well, I know it's going to go up if the market goes down. It's a no-brainer. So why would I not be buying it right now at these low prices? And then you look at 08 and you go, just before or right when the crash happened, the initial panic in the market, gold sold off, silver sold off, equity sold off, pretty much everything across the board sold off. Everybody got whacked, right? It wasn't like, wasn't like you were the only one at the party that got away from the cops when you were running through the woods. No, everybody got caught. Nobody was the hero of that story. Everyone got screwed, right? All the cops caught all the kids at the party, like in 08. Everybody got whacked. But then gold and silver magically just kind of rebounds, right? They do come back, but after the initial panic. So it's kind of like the initial scare in the market spooks everyone, and then everybody freaks out initially until they can kind of fathom and logically think about what's happening, and then gold and silver bounce back. So the idea does ponder my mind that I might be a little bit early on gold and silver in terms of like maybe a 4 or 5 year hold, and it might go lower than where I'm at currently. But I'm telling myself that if the prices of gold and silver decrease in a manner similar to 08, and it's happening during the same time that we're actually seeing an economic downturn in terms of recession, crash, or worse, just all out Armageddon, then I'll know I'm okay because it is resembling that of what's happened in the past. It might not happen exactly the same, but if gold and silver are getting annihilated, as is the whole entire market, then I'll know I'm probably not wrong, and it's just the initial spook and panic of the downturn in the market that's kickstarting this down move in gold and silver, and to be patient and watch it rebound, as that would be the more likely asset to recover quickly and have a bullish move and return gains through an economic downturn than would be any of the equities. Okay, so, Yep, Dan, we are going to do a sale for Christmas, but it won't be anything like the one you just seen. Probably not that one. But we will be having a Christmas sale starting before Christmas, going through Christmas. It won't be quite as big as Black Friday, but we will be having one. Yes, that is a thing. And honestly, I got to say, I'm kind of impressed with myself lately. I've been putting in a lot of work. I've felt very motivated lately. This is probably the most motivated, most clear-minded, most happy that I have been in, honestly, I want to say probably 2 years. I may not see it from being in front of this camera. You guys may not notice it, but the things that I do on a day-to-day basis can get very stressful, from trading to coaching to tutoring to emails to messages to YouTube to hatred. Piece of shit haters on YouTube. I mean, they can just all die. They can all burn. Anyways, from all that, I mean, it can be a pretty stressful life. And there'll be times where you lose trading. Like I've said before, I mean, I've had a pretty good streak of winning lately, but there's been moments where I've had like weeks red, 2 weeks red, primarily over a month red. And when those things happen, it really messes with your full-on mentality, your mood, your attitude, your motivation, drive, all those do become negatively affected from losing money. So those are the sides that I don't think a lot of people talk about in trading. And that is actually a video that I was planning on making, was kind of the other side to trading, which rolls over into your actual personal life, because everybody trades with emotions, everyone can revenge trade, but what does that emotional side effect look like outside of trading? And what it does to me when I'm doing really bad is you do kind of want to do like a little hermit thing where you don't really care to talk to people. You don't really care to go out, things like that. You kind of want to stay in. You either want to work, focus on working, because working is one thing that you know is progressive. You know, it's something that is constructive. It is good for you. It will benefit you by working. So when that's something that happens to me, when I do poor trading, I really hunker down and grind myself into work, because it then makes me feel like I'm succeeding at something, right? So there's a lot of mental things that can go wrong from trading, and that could really roll over in your personal life and hurt you that way. And there's no way to get rid of it completely. There's only ways to combat it. And after doing it for 6 years, I've gotten really, I would like to think that I've gotten pretty good at dealing with it. And really over this past like 5 months, something that has worked really well for me, and it's so cliche, as cliche as it sounds, it's been extremely helpful for me. And that is just to look at the good in everything. Like literally look at the good in everything. Like my light bulb went out in my room. That sucks, but hey, guess what? The light bulb went out in my room where I sleep every night in this Tempur-Pedic bed that has air conditioning and a fan by the bed and a TV and Wi-Fi, and I get to eat in my bed because I make the rules. That's pretty fucking cool. Who cares if the light bulb's out? I'll fix that shit another day, right? Like that. That's the mentality, right? Going into each situation, finding the good helps you just eliminate the bad like that, because there's usually only one bad thing. There's usually not just like a whole train wreck of bad things happening. It does happen sometimes, but usually the bad things are much smaller than all the good surrounding you. And when you look at it from that perspective, it becomes really easy just to kind of wash your hands and dust off your shoulders of all the small shit that really gets to you. And it helps you stay hunkered down and focus on the things that do matter, like personal relationships with friends, family, doing good deeds, things like that. You start to look at things from a different perspective, and that's something I've done more recently, and it's always something I've wanted to do, but I've really focused on it more recently. And what has happened since then is I've had almost 3 months of solid green trading, almost no red days. I've had my red days recently, but for the most part, it was all green. I've done better on YouTube. I've done better on terms of my website. I've done better in terms of our chat room and my emails, keeping up to date on that. I've done better with personal friends, relationships, my family, just being on time with everything. So the mental side is really the bread and butter to pretty much all success. So maybe I'll make a more detailed video on that and things that I have been doing. But again, I'm really not crazy with setting a camera down, doing a bunch of edits, but I know I need to. If I can just... That's my next goal. Like that's my next goal for myself, is being able to sit down, take the time to not only do streams, but to make real thought out, processed videos that go into extreme detail, have nice video edits so it's engaging, it's fun, and it's interactive with you guys, to also teach, and that would be the next step that would drive my YouTube channel to a higher subscriber rate, to a bigger viewership. And then what would happen is I would make more money for that, which would then increase my finances, which would drive down my financial stress in terms of feeling like you don't have enough, or there's, what I'm saying? So that all kind of feeds into one. And I've gone way over time because I love what I'm talking about right now, just as much as I love about talking about stocks, okay? So with that being said, everybody, take care, and I will see you guys soon, real soon. Bye.